So anyway, folks, these become Electric Angel songs, and we're no stranger to big rock guys starting to take some sort of notice of us. It wasn't just the Kiss guys. Again, Jerry Jaffe, who had signed Candy, starts managing Electric Angels. Jerry Jaffe always is also good friends with John Bon Jovi, and John Bon Jovi starts to enjoy the old Electric Angels to the point where one of the lyrics of our songs sort of again gets transplanted to one of his songs. How does that story go? I know a little bit.
So I don't know where I saw it, but somewhere there is photos and I think video of Bon Jovi playing at Jerry's wedding, which was held at the Hard Rock Cafe on 5th Avenue and 12th Street or something. The one that had the big lizard on it or something like that. You might remember that. But yeah, this was before Bon Jovi was big. They played at Jerry's wedding because he signed them to the label. Jerry probably got the album somehow to Bon Jovi's camp. You'll remember in Circus Magazine, we have him saying, if I was going on the road right now, I would take this band with me. The songwriter is really great. And I would love to see him like paired up with Rachel from Skid Row and write songs together, something like that. So, wow. And then while we were on tour in this,
why didn't you take us out on the road? Because of this, because at this point, folks, I mean, and this is after the deal, but before the deal, we're playing everywhere. We're playing in Los Angeles. We played everywhere you could get arrested, but we couldn't get signed. Do you remember all the bands that we opened up for in Los Angeles?
I have Roxie. I have every single Electric Angels thing written down in a logbook. I just started writing things down. I don't know why. On that very first day we played our first gig, I said, I'm just going to write this stuff down. And and pretty soon it's just page after page. We did in 1988. We start basically on New Year's Eve, 1987. And then we're leaving LA almost a year later. In 1988, we played like 65 shows, which is a lot for us.
For a club band, yeah.
Club band. But we played with Zodiac Mind Warp. My all-time, one of the best memories is getting to open up for Iggy Pop at the Fillmore in San Francisco. I mean, it's Iggy Pop, We played at the Greek Theater opening for Richard Marx. Because John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band couldn't do the gig. He was backstage with us, but we went out and played in front of a bunch of Richard Marx people that were like going, kind of stunned.
We also played with a bunch of bands that were more of the English sort of indie sound. And that was a little bit later, the London Choir Boys. That was one of our first tours that we ever did. But I'm still talking about L.A. area with the Scream, Balaam and the Angel. And do you remember those clubs? Was it Janice Garza's club, Dale Gloria's club? It was the Scream. What else was it? English Acid or something like that?
The Underground, the Cave one. Well, that was English Acid, wasn't it?
Ricky Rackman's Cat House, of course, and then the usual suspects, the Troubadour, the Rainbow, the Roxy. But I mean, we would play pretty much anywhere and everywhere, right?
Yeah, and Scream downtown LA was like, that was amazing. What a great building, what a great stage. We did good that first year. We played a lot, and when we got to New York the next year, we played a lot then too. Just before we went off and made the album, we were going out of town doing gigs. We were
that was the thing. Before we got the deal, we would play up and down the East Coast. Wasn't that one of the reasons why we moved to the East Coast, Electric Angels? Because one, we couldn't get a record deal, folks, in Los Angeles. So, and here's the thing. Don't ever be so bummed out that a record company passes on you, because the same record company that passed on us in Los Angeles ended up signing us in New York, right? Now, do you remember the show that we got signed at?
I think it was, I'm pretty sure it was, it could have been two things. Again, I'm not.
Get your notes out, historian.
I wasn't working the audience, but if you remember, we did a gig at this club called Downtown. It was a basement club down on Lower Broadway. where we played with Mother Love Bone and Dogs D'Amour. And
It's true.
Mother Love Bone was on first. Eventually, two of those guys became Pearl Jam. Then us, then the Dogs D'Amour. I think what's his name? I forget his name now.
Toby Emmerich?
There you go. I think Toby might have been at that show. If it wasn't that one, then it was probably at the Lone Star Roadhouse.
No, I actually think it was that downtown show. I never knew the name of that club, but I do remember Dogs D'Amour, that show. I remember the guys in Mother Love Bone, the singer who unfortunately passed away a couple months after that. I remember him walking down the hallway saying, "Dude, the drummer just put a lit cigarette out in my eye." It was like, okay. And he was kind of happy about it because, and I think the drummer's name of Dogs D'Amour, I think is Bam Bam. Was that his name?
Yeah.
There it is. And Tyler, and of course Joe Dog, who Gilby ends up playing with years later in his own solo stuff. So this is a great time. We get the deal. We get to go make the album that we always wanted to make with I think one of the best producers of rock and roll music. We get to make an album with Tony Visconti. Vic, do you have a picture of Tony Visconti right now that you put up? He's shaking his head. Dang. But tell us about Tony Visconti and what was the decision made for us to actually use Tony?
I'm not sure.
Besides him being so great. I mean, the guy in back of you, the picture in back of you, he produced Dave Bowie. He produced all the T-Rex albums, and this is us actually. This is me and Jonathan and actually Tony Visconti's son outside the studio that we ended up playing. This is one of those things where I would usually save it for a little bit later part, but of the show, because where let the people speak would happen. But Wayne Sharp, I actually had a little bit of an email before this podcast. He wanted me to ask you, Wayne Sharp, the man that helped co-manage our band, what are your fondest memories of the whole Tony Visconti experience and, working at Good Earth Studios in London? Because we were just basically kids. And this was my first time ever going to Europe. Was it yours as well? Or
it was mine, and sadly that was the last time I was there.
Wow. Okay.
Well, here's one thing that's good about it. Because we were on a budget, we did the album in like 5 weeks, 4 weeks maybe, with including 4 weeks of working, and then we were only there for like 5 weeks or something like that. Whereas the Candy album, we were in a studio for 2.5 months, so everything just kind of stale. But in the Angels album, we just went in and banged stuff out. And I liked Tony because Tony was a creative person. And some of my fondest things about being in London were the things that Tony turned us on to. He would take us to restaurants. Here, you got to try this food. He took us to hear the Bulgarian women's chorus.
Oh my God, with Gregorian chants. I just by you saying that, I just remembered it. Oh my God. Yeah, remember that?
Yeah, you've never heard people sing harmonies like that before. They were just they're so Eastern European and ancient sounding, and they were phenomenal. That's what we're doing on a night after tracking all day, is we're going out and doing stuff like that. I mean, he also turned us on to Bulgarian wine, which was, I remember, quite good. But Tony knew about art. He knew about culture. Jimmy, back in Candy, he was just sort of business. He would just sit there and just look through the glass, and he didn't really offer very much. So but Tony's kind of an enlightened kind of guy. He's a Renaissance man. And he brought some of that creativity to us by trying some tricks. I don't remember which track it is, Roxy, but he said, let me try this thing where you play 2 guitar parts on an acoustic, but one of them, I'm going to slightly speed it up. It gives this sort of weird chorusy kind of sound to it. But he said, this is an old Mark Bolan trick. So,
yes,
and we did a couple backwards tapes, and then then he brings in that string section. I mean,
I think he used to tease us. There's a song, again, the song that Bon Jovi sort of liked so much that he ended up borrowing a line from it. The song is called True Love and Other Fairy Tales. Our bed of roses has become a bed of nails. And I believe that's a little bit similar to John Bon Jovi's line. I mean, note for note. But I remember when we were recording it, we were going to record it. He would always come into the studio. We go, what about that string section? You got it all worked out? He goes, I got it all up here. I go, how much? He goes, about 83%. And it wasn't until like almost the last day of recording, right, that we went in and all those guys were there, right? And he had it done.
And here's another good thing about Tony. Tony knows how to score. So he wrote all these parts out, and then he brings these 8 people in, the Astarte Orchestra of London. One of the guys was the violinist for ELO, like back on the first or second album or something like that.
I didn't know that.
And he brings them in, and they basically just sit there, tune up, and then he says, rolling tape. They just sight read the whole thing. They were in and out of there in an hour and a half. And I remember that day very clearly because it was very gracious of you to say we were kids back then. That was my 30th birthday. And I'm watching this string thing, and it was just beautiful. And they did True Love, and then they did a couple of little bits on All the Money in the World or something like that.
Yeah, Money spells love. Folks, if you want to check out the Electric Angels CD, the first one of the Electric Angels music, good luck finding it. I can't find it on Spotify or anything. I found the second one. We actually made 2 albums, folks, with Electric Angels. One, though, just recently got released. That's our first album cover. And there you go. That would be all the clothes that we basically found. That would be the second album cover, which is funny. The second album cover is from a photo shoot while we were in Los Angeles. But that first album cover, those were all the clothes. Yeah. Do you remember, John, shopping? Because it was more not just the music, it was the fashion, right?
Right. Well, we had one day off a week, and we would go hit the Camden Market or that great little street that had all the antiques on it. I forget the name. But yeah, we left New York in leather, and we came back in velvet.
Look at I'm literally that hat that made the album cover. That I found that at some sort of street market. I think I wore that for about maybe 2 years straight. So yeah, I was wearing there you go. And
that's so great.
Now, did you take all these pictures, or where did you get all these shots from, John?
Yeah, I took those.
Wow, that's the reason why John's not in the photos, folks, because he's the one that took the photos. And afterwards, there's a good shot of us at a museum, I believe in France, because at the Louvre, because after the album was done, you and I took a little bit of our own little vacation, right? The other guys went back to New York.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted to see Paris forever. And sadly, I haven't been back because we were there for like 3 or 4 days. I was staying with a friend of my brother's. You were staying with some friends that you knew from New York. But like we went out one day, we went to the Louvre, which was great. We just went knocking around. I went up to Montmartre one time, and I just absolutely fell in love with it up there. And we got
to come back because we have a lot of our folks in the chat are from Europe as well. Everyone that's in the chat, thank you for hanging out. We're hanging out with John Schubert right now from Candy, Electric Angels. We're getting to the Loveless, but you know what? I'm having too much fun talking about Electric Angels, and I know that. Hello folks, Roxie here. Thanks for watching the video. And if you liked it, hit the subscribe button or one of the videos around me to watch more. If you'd like to, please leave a comment. If you didn't like the video, maybe you'll forget how to type. Thanks.